now, right now. Right 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 now, right now. Oh, I got a real good feeling.
We try to bring you high-quality educational and informational content every single day. Why do you think the price is having such an anemic time? The news story of the hour. Jump onto the chart. Is this the beginning of a massive financial unraveling? We gotta add a little addendum to the show map today, so we start here on the daily. Now, we've been looking at the RSI on Bitcoin's daily chart for the last several days. It always has been, but it's been increasing over the last 50 years since the government has been bigger. Hey guys, what's going on? Jebb here, and welcome back to Coffee and Crypto Live. This is your week daily morning show where we bring you the latest in everything Bitcoin, and in this episode, we are going to be talking about the correction that we've been witnessing on Bitcoin. As you guys know, Bitcoin attempted a rally to $32,935 over the last couple of weeks, ever since we saw the CPI data release back last Wednesday, about a week and a half ago. I believe it was the 12th, when we saw CPI data come in with a 1% drop on that that headline CPI data, where we saw the drop from 6% down to 5%. Ever since then, we've seen a market drop on the price of Bitcoin, surprisingly, because we attempted to rally all the way up to $32,935. We made it to about just shy of 31, which was a major rally. We saw a multi-$1,000 rally. From there, however, Bitcoin has began and sustained a correction down to the $28,545 region, of which it is sitting just a few $100s above right now. In doing so, Bitcoin has kind of thrown a little bit of a wrench in what we've talked about with the CPI cycle. It was expected that Bitcoin would go on a much larger rally in response to CPI data coming out as a 1% drop. So now the question for us analysts is, why did Bitcoin react this way? This happens sometimes in analysis. You make a prediction based on historical trends, and sometimes that trend breaks. And then you have to, as the analyst, ask yourself, why did that trend break? Because now, if I'm going to make a prediction based off of that trend, I have to incorporate the fact that the trend did not hold this one time. Is that trend over? Why has that trend changed? And what will the future look like going forward with this trend still intact, but with having this faulty data in place, where we saw that trend not accurately predict things? That's what we're going to talk about today. Why didn't Bitcoin rally more on that 1% CPI data drop, and why is Bitcoin going through a correction right now? Does that mean that this massive Bitcoin rally that we've been in for the last 3 months is over, or could it mean something else? Could it mean something potentially even more bullish than what the alternative of just rallying straight to $32,935 could have meant? That's what we're going to talk about in today's episode of Coffee and Crypto Live. If you guys do enjoy today's show, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, hit that post notification bell so you'll be updated every single time a new live stream goes out. I do apologize for being gone the last 3 days. As you guys may know from some of the shorts and Twitter posts I've uploaded, my wife had to be readmitted into the hospital Saturday night on with very high blood pressure, and we ended up having a diagnosis of preeclampsia. So if you guys don't know what that is, basically that is a very dangerous pregnancy and postpartum related illness where a woman can get very high blood pressure, and the consequences of that going untreated can be seizure, stroke, and even death. It's a very dangerous thing if left untreated. Luckily, we were in the hospital for about 2.5, almost 3 days, and she got some treatment for that. She's going to get some more. Won't go into all the particulars, but the point is, she's feeling a little bit better. We still have some ways to go on the treatment for all of that, but hopefully everything's going well, and I think it will be. We have a lot of hope. Anyway, I don't think that there's any risk of, well, I mean, I suppose there is a risk. Anyway, long story short, we've been gone taking care of some health things, but we're back, and I'm looking forward to being able to do the live stream today. And I'm also looking very much forward to being able to work on the Saturday video today. If you guys don't know, I work on the Saturday videos on Thursday. So today's Thursday, so I'm going to be shooting that as soon as we're done here. Really excited about that. Hopefully we'll be back to our regularly scheduled programming here on Coffee and Crypto now. Wisely T was first in chat, said, glad to see you back, Jebb. I am glad to be back. I am very excited to be back. Freedom Advocate said first, question mark. You were second on my screen, but maybe on some people's screen you were first. You were very close there, Freedom Advocate. Mike Lowry's in chat with the moderator and also with the Jebbi Knight badge. Welcome to the stream, Mike Lowry. Thank you so much. Aidfish said, yo, what's up, Aidfish? Got Freedom Advocate again, Crypto Military Vet. William Dietitian. I wonder what he does for a living. Kristen said hi. Gazer said, nice to see you back. Hope your wife is okay, Jebb. She's been feeling better before at times, but in some ways she's feeling better, and in some ways she's feeling worse because, of course, there's she can actually eat now, which she couldn't do for 9 months, basically. But there's also, of course, this other condition that is very scary, and so yeah. I'm a dietitian as well, William. Haha. Mike Lowry in chat. Carl's in chat. The Drake equation said, what's up, Jebb? I hope you and the family are doing good. Have you yet found out how many aliens there are in the galaxy? That would be my question. Any of the physics nerds in the chat will understand that question. Freedom Advocate says, I take about 12,000 steps a day and work out 3 times a week. I'm diesel nowadays. There you go. Good deal. Love to see it. Queen said Charity. Yes, if you guys don't know, our daughter's name is Charity, and I unveiled that information in last week's Saturday video, so make sure to go and check that out. Bitcoin going up or down, sir? That's what we're going to talk about today. Josh Hobbs said, good morning, welcome back. Congratulations to you and your family. God bless. Thank you so much. Thank you, guys. All right, let's go ahead and jump on over to CoinMarketCap. Now, CoinMarketCap, in my absence, decided to reset itself. And when I found it this morning, it goes, my eyes. It looked like this. You have to come up here to this top right button, hit that button. You'll turn it into dark mode. Then I also have to reset my filters down here. I like to show you guys this on screen. Go to Customize. Remove the 1 hour, turn on the 90-day and year-to-date. Then we're going to go ahead and move those right here and right here. You can rewatch that if you want, but that'll go ahead and set up these columns right here the way that I like to have them. You can see over the last 24 hours, Bitcoin is down 2%. Last 7 days, Bitcoin's down 4.64%. But the thing to keep in mind is that over the last 90 days, Bitcoin is up 37%. And that's really where I want you to hone in on. What is the last 90 days looking like? The last 90 days look like a very strong and sustained uptrend. And that's where I don't want you to get super concerned about this market correction that we've witnessed on Bitcoin, where Bitcoin initially rallied all the way up to $31,000, but it was not able to sustain that, and it ended up coming back down here, and now it's retesting 28,545 as support. I don't want you to get scared of that, because the fact of the matter is that's not the end of the world. That could actually end up being a very bullish thing, depending on how the market interprets it, and that's what we're going to talk about today. Ethereum is down 1.114% in the last 24 hours, down about the same in the last 7 days. It's been doing pretty well this last 2 weeks. We're going to look at Ethereum today as well. Tether's sideways as it should be. Binance is up 0.77%, which kind of makes sense because it is lagging behind Bitcoin and Ethereum. It has some ground to cover. XRP is sitting at 50 cents. Cardano sitting at 41 cents. Dogecoin down 3%, sitting at 8.8 cents. Polygon down 3.24%, and Solana down 2.67%. Binance USD is continuing its slide out of the top 10. Now it's continuing its slide out of the top 15, down to $6.6 billion in market capitalization. By just losing another half a billion dollars in market cap, it will slide straight out of the top 15 because SHIB and Avalanche are right beneath it. You can see on the market cap chart here over the last month, BUSD has lost over $1.5 billion, or almost $1.5 billion in market capitalization. Remember, BUSD is no longer being minted, so anytime that BUSD is taken out of circulation because it's sold or burned or whatever, it is not being replaced. So it is gradually in the process of exercising a slow death. So sad for anybody who is using BNB, but definitely a warning to anyone who is using a lot of stable coins. You want to be very, very careful being so dependent on them. All right, let's look back at the chart here, because the thing that we need to pay close attention to today is the price action of Bitcoin. If you guys will remember, I drew these 3 lines here, and they look a little scruffy, but they are the 3 predictions that I made about what I believe that Bitcoin was going to do post April 12th CPI data release. The CPI data was released at 8:30 a.m. on April the 12th, which was last Wednesday. It was a week and a day ago, 8 days ago. I made these predictions back here on the 31st of May, I believe was the day I made them, right around the 1st of April, somewhere in that territory. I made these predictions about what Bitcoin would do. And I predicted that Bitcoin would break through $28,545. It would stop around $31,000, as you can see with both of these predictions, my more bullish and my more kind of neutral prediction. And then it would have a small correction. It looks like the correction was a little bit deeper than what I initially drew here. But if you'll remember what I said in those those streams, I said that it would probably stop around 31K and pull back to $28,545. There was a very strong likelihood that we wouldn't just rally straight to 32,935. Why? Because rallying straight to 32,935 would mean that Bitcoin is just going up and away, and it's floating away. It's not floating away like a balloon. It's blasting off like a rocket ship, and it just does not have that much fuel in the tank. It does have a lot of fuel in the tank, but it doesn't have quite that much fuel in the tank. Let's look at this rally from a different perspective for a moment. This rally that Bitcoin is undertaking is based off of no correction during the last part of the CPI cycle. If you guys do not remember, there's a video that we made. I will just show you on YouTube here. There is a video that we made on the YouTube page. Who says YouTube page anymore? On the YouTube channel right here. It says this will send Bitcoin to 32,935 in 11 days if. And part of the if in that statement is if we see a large enough CPI drop. But another part of that statement is that in those 11 days, which was right around April 12th, we would begin that market rally to 32,935. And I would posit that we are actually still in the beginning stages of that rally up there. Let's break this down in a couple of different ways. First thing to keep in mind is our historical context. These two rallies, the rally in January and the rally in February, were predicated on major corrections. The larger the correction that we saw, the larger the rally that we saw. Why? Because Bitcoin is in this generalized uptrend that you can see with this arrow right here. Whenever Bitcoin goes into a rally, it rallies proportional to the size of the correction that preceded it. Okay, so we saw this massive correction right here. Then we saw a larger rally that followed this large correction. Why? Because Bitcoin was vastly undervalued down here at $16,200, especially with the way it was going to end up reacting to CPI. Now, we saw a small correction here in the beginning of February, so we saw a small rally. Small correction, small rally. Big correction, big rally. Then we saw a big correction in February. Big rally. No correction in March. Very small rally. Why does that make sense? Because it does, but why does it make sense? Well, quite simply, Bitcoin is following a generalized uptrend based on this trend line right here, based on, I would say, maybe this trend line right here. There's different ways you could draw it, but probably somewhere right around here. And then about that line of best fit right here in the middle. And you can see if we draw this just general direction that the market is moving in, you can see that Bitcoin is holding above the top part of this. Bitcoin is in this phase of going parabolic. These are three major uptrends, and all of them are important, especially this top one. And with the massive rally that we saw over here in the middle of February, in the middle of March, we kind of just threw everything on the bulls camp all at once. And so when we did not have a correction following that, there wasn't a lot of, let me put it this way. If you have a rubber band and you pull it, and it's already very tight, you can't pull it much farther. There's just not much more to give. Like if you push a spring down and you're like very close to being completely compressed, there's not much more room to go. Similarly, on this chart, we had already compressed the bulls so much. We had already pushed the bulls so far that they just couldn't go much farther. This rally right here is like telling somebody to go and run a 5K after they've just run a marathon. They need time to correct. It's not to say they're not strong. The bulls are exceptionally strong right now. But you take the strongest man, the strongest bull, the strongest lion, the strongest whatever, and you tell it to run a marathon, and then tell it to go run a 5K right after with no break other than some like jogging. Let's consider this jogging. This is not a rest. A rest is a correction. That's what we're seeing right now. The Bitcoin market's finally getting a rest. We're just jogging. And then immediately, you don't even get to stop to use the bathroom or drink some water or eat some food. You got to go run a 5K. That's what the market was asked to do right here. And that's why in those predictions I showed you, I predicted that Bitcoin would have to have that correction in the middle of the rally because it didn't have it in the middle of the CPI cycle during the last month. What do I mean? Saw this massive rally. We did not see a major correction down to $25,236. So when we were on our path to breaking up to $32,935, we were probably going to have that correction in the middle of the rally, since we didn't have it in the middle of the accumulation pre-CPI data being released. I hope you guys are tracking with me here. What I'm telling you is this: Bitcoin is in a very healthy position, but Bitcoin needed time to rest. I am happy with this rally. I think this rally is healthy. But if you just look at this rally through the lens of what these three trend lines right here are showing you, and there's nothing particularly special about these bottom two, they're just to kind of give you an idea. This top one's very important. This is just to give you an idea of what Bitcoin's done. Bitcoin has run so far ahead of itself that it has to go through a larger correction, be it in time or be it in price. And we've done some of that correction in price. I would love to say that Bitcoin's going to bounce from here, rally up to $32,935. The tricky thing is that's assuming that we're going to be able to stay above this uptrending level of support the entire time. It is, however, also possible and also not unhealthy for Bitcoin to drop back down to 25,236, bounce and rally, and then turn this level back into resistance, which is what it rightfully was back here in February. I'm totally fine with that. And that does not mean the end of the rally. That does not mean the end of the rally in the slightest. That, in fact, could be one of the most healthy things that could happen to Bitcoin. Bitcoin going through a correction, falling back to a median, staying above it. Call this like the 50 level on the RSI, and this the 70 level on the RSI. Bitcoin's sitting at like 85 on RSI if we're looking at price action. Just look at the 3-day chart. Look at the 3-day chart. Where's Bitcoin? Where's its RSI? Sitting up here at like 65. Where is it on the daily chart? Sitting very high. Weekly chart is rallying very quickly. Bitcoin is going to need a little bit of correction. So that is very possibly a scenario that will take place. Bitcoin could bounce here, and I would love to see it bounce at 28,545 and then continue a rally on up to 32,935. I would love to see that. But if we don't, I don't consider this that big of a deal. I really don't. I don't consider that the end of the world. I don't consider that the end of the bear market. The end of the bull market, excuse me. I consider that an opportunity for Bitcoin to actually take the breather that it needs. I'll just give you an example. My wife is a very hard worker, but because she's such a hard worker and such a disciplined worker, and she's just got this massive work ethic, sometimes she forgets to rest. Sometimes she forgets to like take it easy for a minute and catch up and, you know, just catch a breather. And I'm not knocking her out. That's a great problem to have. But Bitcoin's kind of like that. Bitcoin right now is like, man, I just have so much fire. I just have so much energy. I have so much exuberance. I've got such a drive, such a passion. I just want to rally straight through the ceiling. And that's great. But that's a little bit like trying to go to the gym and you haven't eaten in 2 days, but you think because you drank a Monster, you're going to be able to lift more weight than you did a week ago when you ate some chicken and rice before you went to the gym 2 hours earlier. That's not going to fly for long. You can make that work for a while, but then your heart's going to explode because you're not taking care of yourself. Bitcoin needs some R&R. And it's not a bad thing. There's a reason why the Lord gave us a Sabbath, and it was mandated that it would be taken once a week, with very severe consequences if it wasn't, because the human body, and the same thing with a market that is driven by humans, Bitcoin must have some rest, must take a breather, must have that control burn. It is a principle of nature that if anything goes on for too long or in too much quantity, other than serving the Lord, you are going to end up finding that that turns into a bad thing. I'm serious. Name one thing that you cannot do forever without ever taking just one break from that will not lead to bad consequences. Even good things. Eating beans, drinking water, exercising. If you never take a break from any of those, they will all, every last one of them, end up turning toxic. From a spiritual standpoint, that is to show you that the only thing that you should do nonstop is serve the Lord, because that's the only thing that you will never get tired and lack and run out of joy doing. But from a practical standpoint, that's where Bitcoin is in right now. It is falling into that trap that is pervasive across all of creation, that in my opinion is designed to point our eyes back to the Creator, where it is continuing to rally ad nauseum without a break. And it's running into that principle that too much of a good thing turns into a bad thing. And that's where I think a correction would be the most healthy thing for Bitcoin. I think a correction down to $25,236 would be a very remarkably, incredibly healthy thing. So then the question becomes for many of you guys, and feel free to ask any questions that you would like. Feel free to ask any questions and lead me in a different direction if you guys would like to see something explained in more detail. But I believe that brings us to our next question, which is, where does Bitcoin go from here? Is it most likely that Bitcoin will break below $28,545, or is it likely that Bitcoin will actually hold that level and be able to sustain a rally? Well, I'm here to tell you that I would love to see Bitcoin manage to hold above 28,545. I would absolutely love that. I think that'd be great. The tricky thing is, some of the most bullish things that Bitcoin is driven by, some of the most bullish factors that drive Bitcoin, I should say, have already occurred this month. We've seen the CPI data release on April the 12th at 8:30 a.m. That was 8 days ago. Bitcoin went through a small rally, but then it plateaued and it corrected. When you saw that correction, we saw a spinning top right here. Then we saw a bearish engulfing candlestick right here. Green candlestick, red candlestick. Then we saw another bearish engulfing candlestick right here. In doing so, we also sent MACD into a bearish MACD cross. RSI is moving back down to 50. Even out here on the weekly chart, we're starting to see convergence on the MACD that has been bullish for so long. RSI rejected from 70 on weekly chart. Out on monthly, we've got some good news. Don't forget, we've got a bullish MACD cross coming in and whatnot. We'll get to the long-term perspective in a minute. But on the short term, and even looking at Lux Algo here, you start to get some indication that this might not be as bullish as it seems. There's actually a sell signal on Lux Algo, which, by the way, guys, if you guys don't know about Lux Algo, you are missing out. Lux Algo is an incredible technical indicator. It's going to give you so much information about the market. You're about to see me using it in my analysis here. I would highly encourage you to get Lux Algo. You can sign up using coupon code Jebb30. You can find that link in the description box. You can find that code in the description box down below. I believe I put it in the description. Oh, goodness. I did not put it in the description. Give me 1 second. Use code. Yeah, put it down here now. It looks like it did not update. It's supposed to be down there. For 30% off. Boom. Use code Jebb30 for 30% off on Lux Algo, and you will be getting access to a great indicator. That indicator, which I've talked about in plenty of videos, if you want to see why this indicator is calling a Bitcoin bull market and why it has like a perfect track record on certain charts, go watch this video really quickly. A perfect indicator called $70,000 Bitcoin on Lux Algo. That's about the next 2 years or so that it's calling that level, but it is definitely doing that. Lux Algo has a great handle on this market, and we have a sell signal in play right now that has just come into play yesterday. That sell signal corresponded with a red trend catcher, indicating that there is strong sell pressure. Now, the other component to look at here is that Bitcoin did actually rally into the bottom part of the reversal zone. It did not manage to penetrate it. Couple of things there. Number one, that means that we're probably going through a correction. That means that we're probably not done, and that means that we probably will break $28,545, which means that we have to reassess our model. We have to reassess the model that told us that we were going to $32,935, and we have to look at that and see, okay, well, what can we learn? The thing that I am going to learn, and I've learned this lesson many times, but perhaps maybe I need to relearn this lesson. I need to relearn from this, and being very humble here, because I should have incorporated this more into my analysis, is that since Bitcoin did not have a big enough correction in the month of March and moving into early April, it probably would have stifled its ability to go through as big of a rally to 32,935 as we would have liked. Perhaps it was a little bit too much, perhaps there was a little bit too much hope, or perhaps there was a little bit too much bullishness in the idea that we would go straight to 32,935. Perhaps what would have been more wise was to say, okay, wait a minute, Bitcoin's about to go through a rally after having just gone through a giant rally, and it hasn't had any time to breathe. Trading sideways does reset the market to some degree, but not as much as an actual correction. So maybe we should hold on a little bit and say maybe 32,935 is our stretch goal, but $31,000, based on other analysis that we've done, that is an important level, would potentially be a level that would be more likely to be tested and rejected from sooner. And so that's where I'm going to look at my analysis. I'm going to say, hang on, wait a second. Maybe I was wrong to not incorporate the fact that Bitcoin was a little bit more. Another thing that I will learn from this is that even if Bitcoin had have gone through a correction down to $28,545, that would have made this a $5,700 rally. $5,700 would actually make this one of the largest rallies that Bitcoin has witnessed relatively recently, even if it did go down to 25,236. So considering the fact that Bitcoin has already gone through 3 major rallies, a $5,800 rally from the level that we could have corrected down to. Hopefully you're tracking with me here. If Bitcoin had have gone through a correction, it would have dropped to $25,236. And if it had gone through a rally, it probably would have still gone to $31,000. Just eliminate this market, say we dropped and then we rallied through it. Then we would have had our correction, but we probably still would have struggled to get all the way from $25,236, which is where we should have gone on correction, all the way up to $32,935. The strength was there. That's a $7,700 rally. We've done that before, $9,200 rally right there. $7,700 rally right there, but it was getting into, okay, that's pretty bullish territory. I like to be a little bit more conservative with my price targets. I like to be a little bit more conservative with my predictions because I like to be, if I'm going to be proven wrong, I like to be proven wrong in the fact that, oh, it went a little bit farther than I expected. And for as a trader in your position and as an investor in your position, that's what you would prefer for me to do also. That's what you would prefer for me to do. You would rather me predict 31,000 and it go to 32,935 rather than me predict 32,935 and go to 31. So full transparency here, I am in no way trying to claim that I'm the greatest technical analyst of all time. I just told you two things that I think I got wrong that I'm going to internalize. I'm going to go back to the drawing board and I'm going to learn from. Not because I don't want to sit here and be prideful and act like I know everything, because I definitely don't. I want to show you guys through example what it looks like to humbly approach a situation and say, wait a minute, this prediction didn't go quite the way that we thought it would. What can we learn from this? I believe that those two factors would have helped me to have predicted a $31,500 rally, a rally to $31,000 if I had have incorporated them before. So now I will keep that in mind moving forward. Where does Bitcoin go from here? With that sell signal, I do believe that you are going to see a drop at this point below 28,545. There is a chance that Bitcoin could hold this uptrending level of support. There is a chance. But look, guys, the analogy I want to draw here is actually using Lux Algo. Let me just try and find a clean chart. I have like 17 charts. Here we go. Now, analogy I want to draw here is with Lux Algo's reversal zones. You see the reversal zones. You can get up into the reversal zones and you can stay in the reversal zones for some time. But the market cannot stay in these reversal zones forever. You can stay up here for weeks, but you cannot stay in them forever. Even looking back here to the last bull market, you can even get above them, but you cannot stay above them forever because eventually they outrun you because they're uptrending and the market can't just go to $1 trillion. You see what I mean? What I'm saying is that in the same way, we have these three uptrending levels of support right here that I think basically denote the inclination of the uptrend, and they make a lot of sense because if you extrapolate them, it actually runs straight through my end of year price target on Bitcoin, which starts down here at $35,000, goes all the way up to $50,000, straight through that price target. That's exactly where the market would be driven. This top level of resistance, therefore, this top uptrending level of resistance, therefore, reminds me significantly of the top region, the top band of the reversal zone. And being up here feels a little bit like being overbought. Therefore, I would say with that sell signal that just came into play, I don't think it would be bad or negative at all to witness Bitcoin drop down to $25,236 and drop down to that uptrending level of support, then bounce, maybe come back up and retest this uptrend that is currently testing as support as resistance, test it as resistance, and try and break up to 32,935 next month. Would not be against that in any way, shape, or form. I think backtesting 25,236 and redefining it as support would be great, especially considering the fact that we have not done that yet. Bitcoin has come down, rallied all the way up to 28,545, and it has not backtested 25,236. There's nothing here. If you look at the VRVP, there's still nothing there. There was nothing there before, and there's still nothing there now. This transitionary zone, the bottom of it, this little gap, if you will, very well may need to be filled by a drop down here, some sideways movement, maybe even until mid-May, maybe even the end of May, and then a bounce and a rally. That market that I just drew here would be totally healthy. Totally healthy. I cannot stress that enough. Bitcoin going through a correction down to 25,236 could be the most bullish thing that could happen to the Bitcoin bull market. And I'll give you not an example, I'll give you proof of that. During the last bull market beginnings, we witnessed Bitcoin rally 300% in 140 days with no correction. And then the correction, which was always going to come, ended up coming. And it led us, not including the pandemic correction, because that was obviously a black swan, it led us through a correction that lasted 230 days and at most dropped us 53%. We had like 3 corrections that should have taken place here. So they all took place at once. And we had this little mini bull market, mini bear market because people were so excited. This market would have been much more healthy if it had have done if it had have rallied let's see. Let me actually not just kind of draw a line through here. Let me actually look at the resistance levels. If we had have rallied through like this up to here, maybe up to $10,000, maybe come back test 7 and 5. Oh, pandemic comes in, massive drop. Then we start up with the way the market moved. That would have been much healthier. you would have seen a lower peak and a higher bottom. And the market would have been much healthier because we had this giant rally. We had to have a giant crash. You know, every action has an equal and opposite reaction. Every rally has an equal and almost equal and normally opposite, always opposite, correction. It's the way that goes. Don't believe me? Let's look at the stock market. Who remembers 2008? Who remembers the dot-com bubble? Right? Massive rally, had no corrections in here, so we had to have a correction for 3 years straight. Massive rally, no corrections in here, so we had to have a massive correction for 2 years straight. Massive rally, no corrections. Ooh, why do people keep saying that there's going to be this giant depression? Probably because during the last 15 years, we've seen a 10 or 20% correction every half decade. And we're seeing one now. Are these 6 corrections really enough to negate this giant bull market that has rallied the S&P? Just so you know, 600% in 15 years. Is that enough? It's not a conversation for this stream. But my point is, every rally needs a close to equal and obviously opposite correction. Bitcoin is in a spot right now where it has not had that privilege of having a correction that was able to healthily pull the market back. We saw that happen here. We got a lot of rest. This correction right here, just think about like, okay, so we went on a little 5K, and then our athlete, which is Bitcoin, our bull, ran $3,000. And then it went to Maui for 2 weeks, and it did nothing but sit on a lawn chair and drink protein shakes. And then it came back, drank a Monster, and then boom, just not that you should ever go running a marathon on a Monster. Your heart will explode. I'm not a cardiologist, but just please don't do that. Came back, well-rested, giant rally. Then the bull, our athletic bull, tried to do the opposite. Instead of that, we had no correction, no consolidation, and the rally just did not do as what we wanted. What I think may end up happening over the next couple of weeks at this point is very similar to what ended up happening during that time frame back here. We saw too big of a rally, so we need a little bit bigger of a correction in time and in price. That's not a bad thing. It's not a healthy thing. It is a very, very healthy thing. Okay, so that's my point on Bitcoin. I believe that it seems like 32,935 might be a little bit out of reach for right now. There is a possibility that if we see some bullish news or if the sentiment changes, that Bitcoin holds 28,545 and it bounces and rallies to 32,500. My original prediction still is in play. I'm not trying to negate that prediction, but I'm giving you guys 2 to choose from now. And I want you to make the decision. I'll tell you at the end of the stream which one I think is more likely. But the 2 predictions are this. Bitcoin falls below 28,545, drops down to 25,236, bounces, rallies, hits 32,935 within the next 60 days. That's kind of what I drew on this chart right here. Second prediction is very similar to what we drew on this chart right here, and it's obviously the more bullish of the 2. Bitcoin rallied to 31K. As we initially said, it would take a pit stop there. What I didn't count on is that maybe it would need a bigger correction than just a week. Maybe it would need a month because it didn't have much of a correction back here in March. And so it is possible that this rally still ends up happening. It is possible that Bitcoin bounces and holds at 28,545 and rallies. If it does, great. That's wonderful. I'm not against that. But I do believe of the 2, the drop down to 25,236, while also not allowing the sentiment of the Bitcoin and cryptocurrency market to stagnate and fall and crash, could actually be the most healthy of the options. Again, I'll tell you at the end of the stream which one I think is more likely. But let's go ahead and read stream chat a little bit. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We've got 600 people watching. Let's see if we can't get the likes all the way up to 300. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We've got Crypto Crow in chat. What is up, man? One of our colleagues here in the cryptocurrency space. Make sure to go check him out over on YouTube. Man, just passed 100,000 subs. Congratulations, my friend. Make sure to go check him out. Gave us the smiley face. Brewski said, Jebb, I love how you direct everything back to the Lord. He'll continue to bless you and your family because of it. Look, guys, I don't want to just come on this stream and say, hey, I love the Lord Jesus Christ. I want to also be able to witness to you guys through the way that I live my life. And I want to show you guys what it looks like to live as a Christian, because there's plenty of times that I have completely failed in that. Just to be totally blunt with you, so many times that I've completely and totally just failed miserably to live up to the high calling of being a Christian. And the wonderful thing about it is that the Lord frees us from the power and grip of sin when we believe in him. The Lord says in Romans 6:11, likewise reckon ye also yourselves be dead indeed unto sin, but alive unto God through Jesus Christ our Lord. He put to death that sin so that we can live a free life away from the grips of that. How many of you guys have struggled with anger? How many of you guys have struggled with bitterness? How many guys have you struggled with frustration? Right here, me, I've done that. I've struggled with that, and it sucks. It rips the joy out of your life. He gave you freedom from that. So I won't go on too long about it, but just a little bit of a drop there for you guys to keep in mind. Love to talk to you more about that if you're interested. All right, happiness in your marriage, parenting, job, and life flows through God. Absolutely. Let's see. CMGZ 510 said, Jebb is the most passionate guy in crypto I've seen thus far. Love your energy, bro. Had to throw a little bit more energy in there for you. Thank you. All right. Love the vibes. Most refuse to talk about their faith. Hey, look, guys, I know that 90% of you guys don't come here for that. So I don't want to make the whole stream about that, but I am going to mention it from time to time just to see if any of you, just to kind of, you know, put a line in the water and see if any of you guys are interested, because I'd love to talk to you guys about it. Love to talk to you guys about it. Does your wife do what you do or a different career? My wife right now is actually working. Obviously, we have a newborn, so that's where a lot of her attention's going. But she also is the one that does the customer service responses for the YouTube channel. So, and also I've been trying to help her with that a lot because she's had a lot of health complications. So that's I want to help her with that as much as I can. But that's something that she's working on right now. Let's break it down, Professor Jebb. Eric Ward said, any questions, any comments, any things you guys would like for me to analyze? Feel free to let me know. We got about 20 minutes left here in chat, and then I have a Saturday video to make that I'm very, very excited about. All right. Starship just launched. It did? It was supposed to launch yet. Yes, did it? Oh my gosh. What? No. Okay, I'm sorry, guys. We gotta... Oh, man. We've got to read this. Hang on. Is this clickbait or is this true? So it launched, and it exploded. Oh, no. Oh, no. As if the flight test was not exciting enough, Starship experienced a rapid, unscheduled disassembly before separation stage. At least SpaceX can laugh at themselves. Oh, man. If you guys don't know what this is one of the largest heavy boost rockers. Let me try that again. Heavy launch rockets in the history of mankind. In fact, I believe it may be the largest, even larger than the Saturn V. I'd have to check my facts on that. But this is a very big deal. Let's see if we can get some pictures here. You can see this Starship right here. Yeah, bigger than SLS, bigger than Saturn V, taller anyway. I'm not quite sure if it's heavier. I believe it is, though. But this rocket is freaking huge. And apparently, it's now a pile of scrap metal. So I'll have to look into that more after the stream's over. That's pretty interesting. Oh, man. That's sad. That's really, really sad. It was not a complete failure. No, not a complete failure. Just the fact that they got it off the launch pad was pretty cool. It was supposed to explode. It was? Okay, well, then I got misled by the media again. See, I just had like 2 seconds to look at that, and I did not get the information that I needed. Thank you, mainstream media. Thank you very much. Charity is the highest form of love. That is why we named her that. Absolutely. Amen, Jebb. Do you think it'll drop down to fill the CME gap? I'd have to check where the CME gap is. So you'd have to tell me that. Cryptopher is in chat. Missed you, Jebb. Congrats on the baby and hope your wife is doing better now. Yes, she's doing a little bit better. We're still working on some health conditions related to postpartum that are a little bit concerning, but we're hoping that everything will work out there, and we're praying. All right. You're not taking inflation into account. Methinks, Jebb, even if a market is going sideways, it would be a correction. That's true. I have the beholder. And that's something that we've talked about in past. That being said, you're not going to see very much inflation in the span of a month. You're going to see some, but not really that much. That is something to keep in mind also, that with the inflation of the dollar, the fact that Bitcoin had a smaller bear market this time, it actually looks like a relatively normal bear market if you take into account the inflation of that market that we witnessed. Okay. Let's jump back onto the market. Let's jump back onto the charts, and we will continue reading chat here in about 15 minutes. I want to go ahead and talk about that. I want to go ahead and talk about, let's just see if there's anything else in chat I wanted to read. All right, looks like we're good for right now. Congrats, Jebb. Question, do meme coins hold a special place in the crypto ecosystem? They absolutely hold a special place in the crypto ecosystem. The question is that place in the trash? Oh, I'm sorry. I'm just kidding. No, they do actually have some market value. Just switch over screens. I do have some value because people ascribe them value. So value comes from people giving something value. Nothing is intrinsically valuable other than, human life. Dogecoin is not intrinsically valuable. What's valuable about it is the fact that people give it value. So I can't sit here and say that it has no value. It's worth $12.164 billion right now. The question is, will it stay there? Maybe, because Mr. Elon Musk himself loves it. We shall see. Let's talk about Ethereum and the other markets. Ethereum recently attempted to break above its uptrending level of resistance, which is similar to the level of resistance upon which Bitcoin is riding. You can see that level right here. Ethereum very recently attempted to break above its. It also broke above its resistance at $2,038. That level is akin on Bitcoin to 25,236. So Ethereum is still lower than Bitcoin, but it did manage to break and crack that level, even if only for a short period of time. The fact that it did that is great news. It means that Ethereum has now solidified its stance that, hey, wait a minute, we can break out of our own transitionary zone. We actually can do this. It broke above its transitionary zone. It just fell right back into it. So I'm not the most worried about this. Same deal on Ethereum that we saw on Bitcoin. Ethereum needs to have a little bit of a correction. Bitcoin needed a correction. Ethereum did too. Ethereum did the same thing. It went and tried to run a 5K here after April 12th, after it had just run a marathon and it had no correction. And as far as to the comment of trading sideways as a correction, that's maybe a 1% correction. You need like a 10, 15, 20% correction to really correct the market to prepare for the next phase of the rally. This was not even doing that. Ethereum was continuing to trend to the upside, which is great. Ethereum was catching up with Bitcoin. You look at BTC over the US dollar, you're going to see very easily that in a lot of ways, let's just go back to the beginning of 2023. In a lot of ways, Bitcoin had been well ahead of Ethereum. Ethereum was trying to catch up with Bitcoin, and it did a pretty good job of doing that for a time. Now Bitcoin's going through a correction, so too is ETH. It's not a bad thing, guys. That is actually good news to see Ethereum resting. Believe me, guys, I have a postpartum wife. She gave birth 9 days ago. What I want to see is for her to be resting, not running, of course. For any of you guys who have children, you know that that's exactly what you want to see your wife doing, is resting after giving birth to a baby, because that's a big deal. Similar, not same thing, obviously, but similar thing here on the market. The market's just gone through this huge rally because we care about the health of the market and not just getting a quick buck out of it. We want to see it rest, right? Very, very similar thought process. Because we care about the health of something, we want to see it rest, because rest is how you get healthy. Let me tell you a story. We were in the hospital, and we were there for 2 nights after Charity was born, and then we went home for 2 nights, and then Saturday night, we ended up going to the emergency room. We're at the emergency room for 5 hours. Then she was carried in an ambulance to the cardiovascular part of the hospital. We stayed there for 16 hours waiting for them to do one test, and the doctor never even got back to us to tell us the result of that test. So my wife is very scared, like, oh my gosh, is my heart okay the whole time? And then I started saying, okay, this is an emergency. You guys need to take this more seriously. I'm going to have to go over somebody's head. So I went and I told the nurse, like, this is an emergency. I know this is not something that you necessarily can control. I'm not mad. I'm not upset at you, but this needs to change, and needs to change right now. We have a newborn. We have a woman. We have a mother who just gave birth 5 days ago. She needs to be being taken care of, and she's not being taken care of. That was essentially the conversation I had with the nurse. By the way, nurse, not your fault. I'm not trying to be a complainer. I know there's people on this floor who probably just had heart attacks and strokes, and no, we're not the only person here, but this needs to change now. So she called the OB. I called the OB. We got transferred to the other part of the hospital. We spent 2 more nights there. So we ended up spending 3 nights in the hospital again. The second time we were there. Through that time, I was getting like 1 hour of sleep, and I was running all over the place, making sure that there was food, making sure that we were taking care of the baby. I was staying up a lot, and I was drinking way too much caffeine. And I started drinking. I had like 500 milligrams of caffeine one day. I think that would be, what is today, Thursday? I think that would have been Tuesday. We got home Wednesday. It would have been Monday. And Monday night, I didn't eat dinner. And I'd been getting like 1 hour of sleep for, there was a time where I went 72 hours and I got 5 hours of sleep in that 72-hour block while we were at the hospital. And it doesn't bother me. I love laying my life down for my wife. That's what I'm called to do. I find so much joy, and I'm not complaining about it at all. I'm just telling you a story of where I needed rest. So, because if I don't get rest and I don't take care of myself at least a little bit, then I can't take care of her and our children. And this channel, for that matter. I got so tired that I thought I was going into hypoglycemic shock, which I've gotten into that point a few times in my life where I had too much caffeine and sugar and I didn't actually eat a full meal. I was pushing myself too hard. One of the times that happened, I was snowboarding in Cataloochee, North Carolina. I was snowboarding, and I snowboarded for 10 hours. I had a cup of coffee and some water that whole time. And when we were driving home, it took us 2 hours to get back to the Airbnb. I was just like sitting here shaking violently. I was just I was not convulsing. I was just shaking. Like I was so tired. And what it was, my blood sugar was through the floor. And that can kill you. So that's kind of the state I was in the other night because I was not taking care of myself. I had the ability to take care of myself. It's nobody's fault but my own. And I almost had to go to the emergency room. The nurse said, you know what? I'll stay here and help Sarah and the baby, and you can go down to the emergency department, and they can check your blood pressure and your blood glucose and everything and make sure you're doing okay. And I said, no, I'm going to stay here. I'm just going to go to sleep. I went to sleep, woke up, ate better the next day, had less caffeine the next day. I'm doing a lot better now. But I almost put myself in the emergency room because I was not resting. You see what I mean? I almost put myself I'm self-diagnosing this, but from what I can tell, based on doing blood sugar readings during stuff like this, I think I was about to put myself into hypoglycemic shock, which is a very, very, very dangerous thing because I was not eating, I was not resting, I was not drinking, I was not sitting down. I was literally going to fall over if I stood up. And by the way, on the spiritual, I had total joy through all this. I was not sitting there sad. I was like, I'm exactly where I need to be. I just need to take better care of myself, right? I was not complaining about that. But the point I'm trying to make is that because I did not rest, I almost put myself in the emergency room, and I could have been down there for 8 hours away from my wife and my newborn that needed me because I wasn't taking care of myself and I was not resting. And I was not saying, okay, I need to at least keep a little bit of rest for myself so that I can keep going because people need me. So I tell that story, one, because I know you guys like hearing stories about my life, but also two, is pertinent to Bitcoin and crypto. These markets need to have that recovery. Or sometimes they go into the metaphorical hypoglycemic shock that I was going to go into, which is what Bitcoin did over here. Bitcoin ran and ran and ran and ran and ran, living on caffeine and 4-shot chai tea lattes like I was doing. And then it crashed hard. Crashed very hard because it was not taking care of itself. In grand total, Bitcoin would drop 70% because it was not taking care of itself. Bitcoin is still a teenager, guys. And sometimes I act like one when I act like that and I don't drink enough and I don't eat enough food. Bitcoin is still a teenager. Bitcoin is what this year? 14 years old. It's still trying to learn what it is to take care of itself. And one of the things that Bitcoin needs to learn is that it needs to stop getting ahead of itself. It needs to start taking a break. It needs to start taking a breather. And that's where Bitcoin and Ethereum are right now. I think both of them have run pretty hard, and they need a good solid 8 hours rest. They need to go take a nap. That's what they need to do. I feel like I'm old saying that I needed to take a nap, but that's what I needed that day. I needed to take a nap. Anyway, one of the cool things here is that even despite these corrections, we did see total market capitalization break all the way through its transitionary zone at $1.181 trillion, all the way up to $1.25 trillion. That's a pretty big deal because it means that we've proven that we can break through the transitionary zone. We put another chink in the armor on the bears. We put another chink on the armor on the defenses that are stopping Bitcoin in its tracks from moving to all-time high. Those defenses are slowly but surely coming down. Why? Because the market has continued to push into them and make headway. Bitcoin and crypto do need a correction, but the breakthroughs that they have made in the last 2 weeks do show us that it is very possible for this market to break all the way through the other end of the transitionary zone. That's happened on Bitcoin. We broke above 28,545. That's happened on total market capitalization. We broke above $1.181 trillion. And it happened on Ethereum. We broke above $2,038. All three of those markets have broken above their transitionary zone. Now they're going to fall back into them more than likely. That's okay. But we put a chink in that armor. And that will not be forgotten. All right, let's read some chat. I really love my job, guys. Love coming here every single day as much as I can, doing the stream and making the video. So really, really excited about all of that. All right, let's read some chat. I'm sure there's gonna be some pretty funny chats about my little story there. Let's see. Congrats on the birth of your child. It's such an amazing journey. Enjoy the enjoy and happy, healthy days ahead. Cryptopher said, thank you so much. Yeah, our daughter, Charity, is like a little angel. She does not scream or cry or fuss. She's so calm. Like, she's so calm. Sarah keeps thinking, am I doing something wrong? She's just so calm. She lets us know if she's hungry. She lets us know if she needs, to be changed. But other than that, she just kind of sits there and chills. She'll just sit there and just hold her, and she just sits there and she just chills and just looks at me and like, hi, I'm 8 days old. It's really cute. She's awesome. She's really cool. Let's see. Do you think altcoins such as Curve coin will skyrocket now? I think an altcoin season is going to take a little bit more time. Siobhan Golay said, Jebb, you have a son now. I've had a son. I now have a daughter. I'm now a father of dos. Uno io y uno ella. I think I said that right. Anyone who speaks Spanish can tell me if I got that right. This is actually just fine. They wanted to get past the launch pad. Okay, so they did that on purpose. Sounds like they blew up the rocket on purpose. Interesting. Good for you, Jebb. We always turn into Mama Papa Bear at the right times. Yeah, that's not a side of me that I've seen in a long time, because a lot of times when I acted like that before I was a believer, I was acting that way because I was frustrated or because I was angry. But I was like, no, now's a time where I need to put my foot down and I need to make a very clear statement. This needs to change. You know what I mean? Like, I waited there for 16 hours trying to make sure that she was taken care of and make sure that Charity was okay. Charity was fine. She was just sitting there sleeping and eating. But Sarah was very scared. They'd done a test. She didn't know if it was what the deal was. Waited 10 hours for them to do the test. Waited 6 hours for them to give her the results, and they wouldn't do it. I'm like, where is this cardiologist? I understand he's got a lot to do, but there's a very serious condition she has here. So anyway, luckily the OBs over there are all awesome. And so the OB brought us over to labor and delivery, and we stayed there for 2 nights. All right. Let us see here. They really operate like that at hospitals. It's not, and I told the nurse this, I'm like, it's not any one person's fault. It's not your fault. Her name was Stephanie. She was great. It's not any one person's fault. It's the fault. The fault is that they're understaffed, and the attention is spread out so thinly that they take that much time to get things done, and that can honestly at times cause problems. I told the nurse, I'm like, I understand that she needs to be here for treatment, but she also needs to be at home resting, eating, and at peace. That's medicine too. Sitting here waiting on a test result that is driving anxiety through the roof because you don't know what's going on, that's not good for you. That's not helping at all. So anyway, we did end up helping. We did end up getting things worked out. You must have been Speedy Gonzalez with all that caffeine. And by the way, the nurse was very helpful too. The nurse was making phone calls, and so everybody I talked to was great. You must have been Speedy Gonzalez with all that caffeine. More like, yeah, I mean, depending on the time. Caffeine has a crash, so there's a speedy part, and then there's a crash part too. I was in the hospital for 6 days when my wife gave birth to our daughter, slept on a chair. Yep, here you go. The best ways to help others in your life is always take care of yourself first, to a certain extent. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to sit here and take such good care of myself that, like, if my like in that instance, I need to like go get I'm gonna go to the gym right now. There's a certain degree of some things can wait, but you do need to at least make sure you can keep going. That's true. You do at least need to make sure you can keep going. Siobhan Golay is a member and gave a member chat, said, glad to see you. How did you learn technical analysis, and what advice can you give to a beginner? Like, does charts matter more than indicators? Great question. I learned technical analysis the hard way, and it took me a very long time. I'll be honest with you guys. When I was a teenager and a young adult, I'm still a young adult, but like the very first couple of years of being an adult, I was single. I didn't have a family. I hadn't met my wife yet. And I had so much free time on my hands because I was terrible at socializing. So I wasn't this 18, 19-year-old that was making a bunch of money that I went out and went to the club or partied. And first, I don't want to do that. That was never my desire. But I wasn't doing that. I was kind of just sitting at home thinking about my business all day, which is this YouTube channel. And I was really, really not lazy. I was really kind of bored. So what I would do is I'd just sit around and watch videos all day. Like, I'm not kidding. There were days where I'd watch videos for 16 hours straight, but I wasn't watching Minecraft Let's Plays. I was watching entrepreneurial content. I was watching videos and interviews and educational videos, whatever they were. I was watching content teaching me about entrepreneurship, about building businesses, about managing finances, about technical analysis. I was studying, and I spent probably over the last 6 years about 20,000 hours, 10 to 20,000 hours, somewhere in there, studying business, finance, technical analysis, geopolitics, history. I've been studying history and geopolitics for a decade. And all of that education, informal as it was, led me to a deep understanding of technical analysis. The problem is that I did that the really inefficient way. You heard that word informal. I would have learned everything that I learned way faster if I had some kind of formal education in it. Now, I have a lot of problems with the modern educational system. I don't like that you have to take a bunch of prerequisites, like, let's go to, I have to go take African dance to get an AA in finance. What? Like, nothing wrong with African dance. It's probably a pretty cool class, but what does that have to do with my degree? That's the problem I have with universities. I'm not a big college fan, but I'm a huge fan of teachers and education and curriculum. That's where Club DeFi's principles of technical analysis came in. I want you guys to be able to learn how to read these markets and analyze these markets in a way that is efficient. I learned what I learned through years of experience. And to a certain extent, you do need years of experience. But just the basics, it took me forever to figure out what a white soldier was and what a black crow was, to figure out how RSI divergence worked, to figure out how a VRVP and Fibonacci worked. I had to learn that on my own. It took a very long time. My dream with Club DeFi is to teach you guys everything that you need to know about technical analysis in a packaged format that is very concise and gets to the point quickly, because I know you have a busy life. I happen to know that the majority of you guys, over 60% of you guys, are between 35 and 55. And you guys probably have families and probably have things going on and probably don't have as much time as I did when I was 18 years old, kicking it in my bedroom, watching videos 12 hours a day. It's my dream to help you receive the education that I received in 100th the time, because I've made a full-time living from it. In fact, one of the nurses at the hospital, I won't say her name, but she had a massive amount of money that was being managed by somebody else at TD Ameritrade. And I looked at this account, I'm like, I wanted to vomit. I was like, what is this manager doing? This woman had lost so much money. I'm not even gonna say the number, but so much money from stupid investment practices. I'm sitting here like, oh, man, if only you knew enough about technical analysis and about markets to go and know the questions to ask these people. Like, I saw a report yesterday that said the only person that turned down an FTX sponsorship was Taylor Swift. Taylor Swift, because her father worked at Merrill Lynch, I think, had the knowledge to ask, well, are these NFTs that you're offering unregistered securities? So they asked that question. They couldn't give her a good answer, so she said, no, I'm just not going to take your $100 million. I'm not going to get mixed up with that. Now people aren't looking at Taylor Swift and saying, you were mixed up with FTX because they asked the right question, right? She wouldn't have been able to ask that right question if she didn't have some education in finance. That nurse didn't have much education in finance, and so she was not able to ask the right questions. She's a really cool nurse. I'm not trying to belittle her, but having some education would have really helped. So I showed her the channel. I was like, go watch these videos. I make these videos every Saturday so that the layperson who is not a massive investor in crypto, who's been in as long as I have, can understand it at least to a degree where they have some middling level of communication ability in it. If you go to another nation, you don't have to learn everything about the nation, but at least to learn, ¿Dónde es el baño? Where's the bathroom? What I would like I like el pollo. I want the, I can't speak Spanish very well, but I speak a little bit. I could get around. I'm not fluent like my wife is, but I understand a little bit. And that's the goal with Club DeFi, is to teach you everything that you need to know to get into this market. And there's a lot of advanced concepts in there too. Don't get me wrong. That's really what I want, is I want you to be able to become an advanced, proficient trader and investor in crypto. But at the very least, I want to teach you to be able to read this market, understand this market, so you can profit in this market, because so many people leave their finances and their decision making to somebody else. And I'm not necessarily against a financial planner and advisor, and I'm not actually necessarily against somebody else managing your finances for you, if you have the education to be able to do it yourself, and you're hiring them because you don't have time. Otherwise, you are contracting out a very important part of your life. And I watched that nurse's portfolio. She showed me. I'm not going to say any of her private details. I'm also not sharing her name. She might be watching right now. Hello. You know that we had some great conversations, but it just broke my heart because I saw so much money lost that didn't have to be. And I think education can fill that gap and help people. So again, I'm not condemning anybody. It just breaks my heart to see that. I want you guys to have education, and I want you guys to be able to learn how to, if you ever are going to let somebody else manage your money for you, which is not necessarily a bad thing, at least you know what they're doing so you can ask the right questions. Because I looked at that portfolio and I thought, what is this manager investing in? I don't see a single blue chip stock in here. And she told me, yeah, I want to be pretty conservative with my investments. I'm like, the closest thing I can find to a blue chip stock in here is Tesla. Tesla is not a blue chip stock. Anyway, point made. I highly encourage you guys to check out Club DeFi's Principles of Technical Analysis. You can find the link in the description box down below. All right, let's go ahead and read chat here for a couple of minutes, then we're going to have to wrap it out. TA gives you a better entry through, though, when trading and investing. Absolutely. As far as the second part of that question, because I didn't answer the second part of that question, what advice can you give to a beginner? Like, do charts matter more than indicators? I'm not going to say one matters more than the other, because you can't really have an indicator read without a chart. That's kind of like saying, what matters more to building a house, the house or the land you build it on. You kind of need both. You can't really just build a house in midair, and if you just have a plot of land, it's kind of useless. So that's the best way I could answer that. I hate hospitals. I'm late to stream because they're stupid hoops. Oh, really? Oh, I'm sorry. I'm learning to code. There you go. That's a good thing to learn. Pollo. I know pollo is chicken. Pollo is chicken. That is true. Pollo. Pollo y carne. Let's see. You don't need Bitcoin to hold. You don't need TA to hold Bitcoin, but you do need TA to understand when to buy Bitcoin, when to sell Bitcoin, how to dollar cost average Bitcoin, how to not lose money in Bitcoin. You can buy Bitcoin without TA, but you won't profit in Bitcoin in a predictable way other than getting lucky without TA. I guarantee you that. Estar is used for location. Oh, okay, that's right. See, I know a little bit about Spanish, but I'll say something, I'm like, did I get that right? My wife's normally like, no, trying to find some way to not embarrass me, like, nah. Learning video editing and trading. There you go. I'm all about education, guys. All right, guys, I am going to have to go ahead and wrap it out. I really do appreciate all of you guys for tuning in. Thank you guys so very much. Especially thank you guys for being patient with me as I've been kind of in and out this last couple of weeks. Of course, having a baby is a pretty big deal. Hoping to be able to really still get into a routine, get really consistent, and not miss any more streams. I'm looking forward to Saturday's video going out. I think you're really going to like that. If you did enjoy today's video, I want you to do a couple of things for me. First and foremost, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, hit that post notification bell, and make sure you sign up for Lux Algo and Club DeFi with the links in the description box down below. For Lux Algo, you can use coupon code Jebb30 to get 30% off at checkout. For Club DeFi, if you are a CT2A member and alumni, you can get 25% off by simply emailing us, support@cryptojebb.com. We'll generate that coupon code for you. And if you're a member of Club DeFi's month-by-month payment model beta, then you can get a discount for Club DeFi's Principles of Technical Analysis for whatever size of amount of money that you put into the beta. So some people put up to $175 into the beta, so they got $175 off Club DeFi's Principles of Technical Analysis. Make sure to check out Club DeFi with the link in the description box down below. I am going to have to go, but before I do just first want to thank each and every single last one of you for watching, as always, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.